Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
Hey guys, Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com with another edition of Stoppage Time. This is our first of a couple Euro 2020 tournament previews. We're not actually going to go into any games today. We will do that next week. Today we'll just talk about some prop bets, some of the tournament overview in a roundtable discussion. And we're going to briefly touch on what happened this past weekend in the Champions League final, Chelsea and Man City. With me to discuss that from SportsMemo, it's Pavlos, Laguretos, and from WagerTalk.com, Nick Borrman and Kevin Dolan. Let's bring them in. I'm going to start with the guy who, along with myself, was pretty happy about that final in the Champions League with Chelsea winning for our clients, as we had a 14-1 future in that game. Mr. Dolan, how you doing?
Yeah, all good, Carmine. You know, what a crazy Saturday. We cashed back-to-back 4 plus 1400 winners on Saturday. Obviously, as you said, Chelsea doing the business in the Champions League. And then just a few hours later, we also had Donaire winning by KO rounds 4-6 for plus 1400 as well over in boxing. So might have partied a wee bit too hard. You know, feeling a bit rough today, but obviously what a fantastic weekend. And, looking forward to keeping it going into the Euros.
Yes, I'm sure that the pints were flowing on the weekend for you. It was a crazy game. I'm going to bring in Nick as well too on this one. Just heading into that game, when I saw the lineups about 90 minutes before the game, I just didn't understand what Pep was doing. It just seems like once again he overthought things, not having Rodri in there, not having Fernandinho in there. I just don't understand what he did. It kind of took away the attack as far as Gundogan goes and helping out De Bruyne, who eventually had to leave that game after suffering a fractured nose and orbital bone. Nick, your thoughts on that Champions League game?
Yeah, I was on the over in that one. I was excited the way that it started. Started off back and forth pretty good, and there was a lot of chances both ways. We could have gotten an early goal, maybe two, and then as it settled in, it got a little tougher and tougher to get some space. Chelsea, once again, did a great job of limiting City, and I mean, I think it was their lowest expected goal total of any game this entire season for Man City. So kudos to Chelsea, kudos to Tuchel, kudos to you guys for winning that awesome future. I unfortunately, and the clients lost with the over, but I thought it was still a good play. I thought it had great value on it. So we move on, and excited to move into the Euros and even the Copa America tournament this summer.
Yeah, listen, we're just taking turns. Last year, you touted Bayern Munich pretty much the whole way and cashed a Bayern Munich future. So we're all there, my friend. Next year, when I'm on the Juventus future and they crash out in the group stages, we'll make fun of that one. But Pavlos, listen, I'm bringing you in next. It's funny. I did joke around. I think just before the FA Cup, that when City played Chelsea, that Chelsea were going to wear that number 3 jersey, which signified they were about to beat Man City in the first of 3 meetings with them, having to play them again at the Etihad at the end of the season, then possibly in the Champions League finals. So that worked out pretty well with that. I might have to get that number 3 jersey. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think that's their magic jersey. The game, as you said, Carm, I don't know what Pep did. He only used like a holding midfielder. I don't know if he's ever used this lineup ever again this season. It was really weird, I guess. I don't know. They were really unlucky with Kevin De Bruyne there. I was also really unlucky because I had a couple of prop bets on Thiago Silva, who was injured at the 38th minute, so they were gone. I did hit a winner with Timo Werner's offsides, because that's how you're gonna bet Timo Werner, on offsides, not on goals. Maybe an assist, but not on goals. So yeah, I didn't really like the result because it was a poor final, I guess. But props to Chelsea and props to Kante, who is probably if not the best, one of the best holding midfielders in the world right now. And he's just a really humble guy. He's just a great athlete. I really like him, and I think he's gonna shine also in the Euros. So I'm gonna have a few prop bets on him, I guess.
Yeah, he had a fantastic game. He had a fantastic game. Reese had a fantastic game. They shut down Sterling. They just he was all over the place, and just another phenomenal game, similar to what he did in both games against Real Madrid. So great on Chelsea. Great on Thomas Tuchel, who after losing 1-0 in the final last year, got back to it with a different team and won it this year. And as far as, absolutely tough luck for City with the De Bruyne injury. And with that said, let's get right into some Euro discussion and that Group B. We'll discuss a few things here, but let's discuss that Group B and this Belgium side. Right now, it's uncertain what the status is of De Bruyne, but I'm holding out that he's going to be there and healthy in time to play for them when they play their first match day. Nick, I'm going to go to you first on this one. Thoughts on this group? I've noticed the price has dropped on on Belgium down to about -138 to win the group, which I get that they're not playing any games at home, and we'll discuss that as well too. But still, they have to be by far the team that should win this group. Thoughts?
Yes, I mean, clear favorites. Obviously, the De Bruyne injury is probably affecting those odds, which they're so deep. I mean, De Bruyne is obviously a fantastic player, don't get me wrong, and losing him is going to hurt. At the same time, it's hard to imagine they don't win the group. Just like the World Cup, the Euros are 3 games, though. I mean, all it takes is one slip up, one draw somewhere, and it could be enough not to win the group, though. So any upsets are possible to happen in this thing. And if there's one team that could knock out Belgium and actually make a decent run in this event, I think it's Denmark. Obviously, you mentioned the home games, and they have 3 at home here in this group, so that will be a big help. But they're a very, very solid team, Denmark, and they didn't lose a single match in Euro qualifying, which is pretty impressive. They're fresh off a 4-0 spanking, I like to say, of a pretty good Austrian team in World Cup qualifying back in March. They did lose to Belgium twice in the Nations League recently, but they beat and drew against England, which just proves they have plenty of talent and can beat the best teams in the world. Belgium is another animal. The Red Devils, they can score at will. I mean, their offensive prowess and midfield is just it's second to none. But they've yet to prove themselves on the European stage. They haven't won anything. So, until they do, they are a team destined to fail, I guess you could say, or at least bet against. And I think Denmark is a good chance to do something here. They're kind of, in my opinion, unbettable, though, as far as a group future. They're -275, I'm seeing, to qualify as a top 2 team, but +200 to win the group. So that is, I guess, a bet, but it's hard not to still Belgium winning this group. So I'll look at Denmark on a game-to-game basis, but I think they're a decent team to make a run in this tournament that probably not a lot of people are talking about.
All right, some good points there. And Kev, yeah, listen, when you look at the schedule, even with the status of De Bruyne up in the air, but I think we'll know more through the weekend and as we get closer to the first match day. Their first match day is against Russia. It isn't until match day 2 where they play Denmark. And that's probably the game that could decide this group. I would think he's likely in the lineup by then. I find it unlikely he's going to miss this event. He seems that he thinks he'll be ready for it. The manager thinks he'll be ready for it. Thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's obvious, yeah. I mean, especially obviously with Kevin De Bruyne in the squad, but even if there was a problem that he couldn't make it, they're easily the most talented squad in this group. The main issue that I have with potentially backing them as group winners here is they have such a hard schedule. They have to face Russia in St. Petersburg, then they go to Copenhagen. to take on Denmark. Then they go back to Russia to take on Finland. So, that's a pretty tough road trip right there. And, as Nick says, all it takes is 1 or 2 draws here. And suddenly, that price doesn't look so great in Belgium. So, yeah, obviously, yeah, they are the strongest team, but it's not a price that particularly interests me to back them in this spot.
Yeah, no, good point. And, and to that point of the travel, and I'm going to go to Pavlos on this one. You look at a team like Denmark, and they are one of 6 teams in this competition of the 24 nations. This is the first time in 60 years of this competition that it's not just one host country. This is across 12 cities across the continent. And you have Denmark, along with Italy, Spain, Germany, England, and Netherlands, who will play all 3 of their group stages, Pavlos, at home. So you would think that gives Denmark a bit of an advantage playing at home.
Yeah, and apart from the advantage at home, they've been building a really good squad for many years now, and it's starting to pay out for them. They have a great goalkeeper. They have a great defense. I mean, they have players that play in all major leagues. They have players from AC Milan, Atalanta, Chelsea, Fulham, Southampton. I mean, all their players, their midfield is just really great. They do have Christian Eriksen, who hasn't played top soccer in a couple of years, but he's still a very good player, one of the best attacking midfielders in the world, at least in my perspective, when he plays at 100%. I don't really like one of their main maybe disadvantages is their offense. They do have a lot of quality players, but not one that stands out and something like a Lewandowski type of player. But they do have a lot of second-tier players who can really make a difference. And however, I do think that they'll finish second in this group. And looking at how the other matchups go, I think that they have a clear path to go deep in this tournament. So I'm really high on Denmark in this tournament, but of course they'll have to do good against Russia, who are their main contenders for the second spot. I don't think Finland will do anything of importance in this group, especially if their key man Pukki is injured. If he's indeed injured, there's no way Finland are gonna be able to find goals. He's their best goal scorer. So I think that the second spot is going to be a tough battle between Russia and Denmark, but I think that Denmark will finish second, and then they're going to have to play the second of Group A. That's going to be either maybe Turkey or Switzerland. So I think that they have a clear path to make a deep run, and they have a great team. And I think that they're going to be one of the teams to watch in this tournament.
Yeah, and I would, in a way, I would kind of like them to win the group. As I'm talking about Denmark, and it's only because I've run a bunch of different simulations on what the results are from each group and each group stage game in order to give me my winners. And unfortunately, the bracket comes up with if it was Belgium and Italy both winning their groups, Group A and Group B, they would meet in the quarterfinals. And as an Azzurri fan, I'm not sure I want to meet Belgium this early. I would, no disrespect to Denmark, but I would rather meet Denmark should we make it to the quarterfinals. Should we win the group and get through the round of 16, I would rather meet anyone other than this Belgium side, because they are one of the tournament favorites. And as Nick said, they are a team with a wealth of talent. Guys, in speaking about the simulations and group stage winners, the guys, along with myself and some help from the WagerTalk crew, we will have a publication which will be up on the WagerTalk website in another day or so. We're just sort of fine-tuning everything. You'll be able to download it for free. This will have a tournament overview from myself. The guys will have taken a couple groups each, done a preview. They're going to give you their top 10 rankings, games of interest, odds to win the group. There's just a ton in there, as long with betting terms, the schedule for the tournament. There's about 20 to 25 pages of information on there, and you get it for free, along with information on how to win a Cristiano Ronaldo jersey. I have a couple jerseys, framed autographed jerseys. the 2005-2006 Cristiano Ronaldo Man United jersey, and a Juventus 2019 autographed Cristiano Ronaldo jersey framed. You'll have a chance to win one of those. Download that publication tomorrow or on Thursday, and you will get the details on that and on the tournament itself. All right, guys, we talked about this, some of these teams having a decided advantage in playing games at home. Obviously, Italy, Spain, Denmark, Netherlands, England, who will play all three of their games at Wembley. And should they progress, the semifinals and finals will be played at Wembley as well, too. One team who will be playing all three games at home is Germany, and they are in, Kevin, the group of death. Germany, France, Portugal, and unfortunately for them, Hungary, who right now have odds of plus 500 to be the lowest scoring team in the Euros this season. Kev, anything on this group here? Does Germany have an advantage here, or the defending World Cup champions, the ones that win this group?
Well, this is obviously the toughest group by far. It's obviously called the group of death, for obvious reasons. But it's just an interesting group because for all the strengths of the main three teams in this group, there are definitely some weaknesses as well. I mean, we've seen France. Look, there's no question about their overall talent heading into this one, but we've seen them before. They can start slow in these type of big tournaments, and they just can't afford to do that here. They're opening games against Germany. So I think actually that gives Portugal a slight advantage in this group, as they can bank those 3 points, and hopefully maybe there's a stalemate between those other two. I think Germany, obviously, they've got serious concerns, with Timo Werner's form heading into this tournament as well. We know he's talented, but, how can you not look at what he's done at Chelsea this year and not be slightly concerned heading into the biggest tournament of his career? So I think Portugal offer the best value, heading into this group. Although, again, what makes this group so good is the fact that, they've got guys like Pepe at the back, who's like 38 years old. So they might struggle with the speed, especially guys like Mbappe and Werner and stuff. So it is a really open group. And if you had to pick a winner, I honestly think, Portugal probably might be my pick now to win this group.
Yeah, the odds, Kev, and I'm going to go to Nick next on this one. I was in Vegas. Obviously, this tournament is being played a year late, as it was canceled last summer. I was in Vegas, not this past February, the February previous, and did a video with Marco. And at the time, Portugal were plus, I think, 500 or plus 600 to win the group. They were quite the overlay. I think it was plus 500. They're now plus 350. It's a tough group. It really is. Nick, thoughts on this group? Because with Germany in here, and a lot of their talent does play at home in the Bundesliga, and you continuously year after year seem to do extremely well with your Bundesliga selections. Thoughts on this team?
I think Germany is in a transition phase. I mean, they got a lot of firepower. There's no doubt about it, but they haven't been able to really put together some decent results. I mean, if a home loss to North Macedonia in World Cup qualifying back in March doesn't scream trouble, I don't know what does. But it's glaring to me that they're just not ready to win, and they're priced to win, which I think is a mistake. Kevin hit on the value in this group is Portugal. I mean, I'm seeing on DraftKings right now 3-1 to win the group. I think is very good value here for a team that has proven it. The defending champs, they won the Nations League recently. They have all the talent in the world. They know how to win. They have the experience. I mean, in this kind of a competition, experience is so important, and they have it, and Germany just doesn't. France, they're, to me, the team I'm struggling a little bit more with. Between Germany, I think is no, and Portugal, I think is yes, but France, I'm struggling a little bit with. Obviously, World Cup winners. They have all the talent. Mbappe up front, and Griezmann. I mean, you name it, they're loaded. I don't know yet what to make of them, and how they wouldn't be surprised me to see him knocked out in the round of 16. They wouldn't surprise me to see him win the whole damn thing either. So I'm struggling a little bit with them, but I think the best value as far as this group goes is Portugal to win it. I don't think it's a clear-cut favorite like the bookmakers have it as France or Germany being the favorites coming out of this group. So unfortunately, I'm a little stuck there, but I do think the value is on Portugal in this group.
Pavlos, thoughts on this group, and it's a tough one. If you look, literally, I think it's round one, and looking like right out of the gate on these teams, France plays Germany, so obviously only one of these teams can pick up full points. This is a position where literally after match day one, if Portugal does what they're supposed to do, which is beat Hungary, they're on 3 points, and they're heading into their match day two against Germany in the driver's seat, where if they even pick up a draw in that game, they are into the next round. 4 points is going to be enough. 3 points may be enough for teams, because the top 4 teams in of this the top four third place teams during the group stages will get in to the knockout stages. So you have to think one of these 3 teams that finishes third is going to get into the group stages, unless, of course, they have a terrible group stage where they get bombed in a couple games, and that goal differential comes into it. Thoughts, Pavlos?
Yeah, I don't really trust Germany in this tournament. While they do have some very good players, they lack a certain striker. Just like a huge guy who will take all the shots, who will be the focal point of their offense. They do have a great roster, but it's all players who play around the key man in the attack. I mean, they have Gnabry, they have Volland, they have Werner, they have Sane. So they're very good players, but they're used to playing with another big man in the offense, and Germany just doesn't have that. Maybe Thomas Muller will take that role, but I think he's going to play more like a attacking midfielder, something like a 10-man. I don't really like the coach. He's weird as a person, but and even his managerial ability has been under question in the past couple of years, with Germany dropping a lot of points against teams that are clearly inferior. I mean, they lost to North Macedonia. They had a 3-3 draw against Switzerland, and another draw against Switzerland. So I don't think Germany will win this group. And I don't really like the defense that they brought in this tournament. Of course, they brought back Mats Hummels, who is probably their best defender by far. But yeah, I don't really. This is the last tournament for Coach Lowe, who's going to be substituted possibly by Hansi Flick, I think. Maybe he wants to, leave a good taste on Germany's mouths. But I don't think that Germany is going to have a deep run in this group. So I think Portugal to finish top 2 in this group at -155 is something to look at. I don't think Portugal will win because in the final match, in the game 3, in the third match, they play against France. So that's going to be a key match to determine who's going to finish first and second. I think that Germany will manage to beat Hungary in the final match day. And but I think that the top spot is between France and Portugal here.
All right. I am going to, what's the word I'm looking for here, Pavlos? I think I'm going to disagree on that, but it's perfectly fine. I actually think I'm taking the approach here after a miserable and disastrous 2018 World Cup, where they crashed out of the group stages, losing on match day 1 to Mexico 1-0, and then losing on match day 3 after that match day 2 win over Sweden, losing on match day 3 2-0 to South Korea. That this is a team that needs a good tournament, and having 3 games at home has got to help this team. We'll see what they do, but I think they win this group. I'll be honest with you. I think they win this group. I think it comes down between them and France. And while I love the talent on the Portugal side, they're a team that sometimes in group stages settle for those draws. We saw it in the Euros. I think in the 2016 Euros, where they got into the group stages with 3 draws, and then obviously made it to the final and beat France in extra time there. Guys, EL50, this is a promo that we have up at WagerTalk and Sportsmemo. You can get $50 off a 2020 Euro package. You're going to get every single play, prop, futures bet, 5% plays that run in this tournament from your favorite capper on this show from either at WagerTalk or SportsMemo. Use that code EL50 at checkout. This package is normally $299. It's up for $199 now. You can get an additional $50 off with that code, which will expire Wednesday at midnight. That's Wednesday next week, prior to the first match day game, which goes on Thursday between Turkey and Italy. All right, with that said, guys, let's head over to, we're going to discuss the games next week. So today I'm just going to ask you guys for your favorite prop, what you might like as far as anything prop-wise. I'm going to throw one out here just to get it going, but I mentioned you can bet at some books. They're going to have a ton of these props up. So if you don't see it now, you will see it. This one is up at a couple books. It is who is going to be the lowest scoring team in the group stages. Now, obviously, Hungary is the favorite because they're in that group, the aforementioned group of death that we discussed: France, Germany, and Portugal, and they're plus 500. I'm going to go a little better. I am going to go with North Macedonia at plus 550. This is a team that only scored a couple of goals. While they didn't score a lot of goals during the group stages, they only scored a couple of goals against the teams that qualified for this tournament. They're in with Austria, Netherlands, and the Ukraine. I don't see them scoring more than a goal in this tournament if they get one at all. So I'm going to take the plus 550 on North Macedonia to be the lowest scoring team. Kev, I'm going to go to you next.
Yeah, one of my favorite props, actually, I'm going to turn to here is the Golden Boot winner for this year's tournament. You know, the Golden Boot is the tournament's top scorer award. And, you know, whenever you're doing this kind of market, while it is tempting to go for a guy, you know, like star-studded players, Gareth Bale, Robert Lewandowski, and so on, you know, are pretty big odds. You know, no Golden Boot winner over the last 25 years has been on a team that didn't get to at least the quarterfinal stage. And in 6 of those 7 tournaments as well, it was actually a minimum of at least the semi-finals. So you're really looking for a player who's going to be on a team expected to go deep in this competition. So I think we can rule them out because of the relative hardness of the group and the fact we're not sure who even makes it. The group we just talked about, Group F, I think we have to eliminate players in that group. Mbappe, Benzema, Ronaldo, Werner, and so on. I think you can eliminate Werner straight off the bat. It's just simply too tricky to call who makes it out of that group, in my opinion. So the average goal scored for the winner of the Golden Boot is around 4.66 on average across all those previous tournaments. So, you know, if we can get 3/4 of them goals in the group stage, that's the plan here, and then have that deep run later on. Because of that, it's no surprise to see Harry Kane and Romelu Lukaku installed as the 2 favourites here. You know, both are the target men for their respective countries. Both are penalty takers. And both play on teams expected to go deep in this competition as well. To me, though, it's got to be Harry Kane for me here. You know, Belgium face a much trickier task. We mentioned this in the opener. You know, they have to travel to St. Petersburg to face Russia. They've got Denmark and Copenhagen. Then they've got another trip to Russia to face Finland, while England play all of their group games at home, where they've traditionally been very strong, you know, including they knocked 5 past fellow Group D participants, Czech Republic, you know, in the last head-to-head in London. So, yeah, Harry Kane for me, plus 600 Golden Boot winner for this year's tournament. I do like the value on that.
Yeah, and that's a good play, Kev. Just, you know, when you look at it, you have to look at who these teams are playing in their group stages as well, too. You know, if you look at what Kane did in the 2018 World Cup, it was similar in a group where that had Belgium, but also had Panama, and I believe it was Tunisia. You know, he racked up goals in those games. I think he had 3 against Panama in the group stages. Even if you don't score any goals later on, if you come out of those group stages with 5 or 6 goals, that may be enough to win the Golden Boot, which it was at that time, I believe. So, you know, you look at this group, and it's a softer group. No disrespect to the teams, obviously, that are in the group, but you know, England is going to be facing Scotland, Croatia, and Czech Republic, and you have to figure when you're taking this Golden Boot, you also want to look at a guy who is the penalty taker for the team, and it'll likely be him taking the penalties, I would think. Anyways, Nick, any prop bet you like, my friend?
Well, the one I had listed is Portugal to win the group at plus 300, but we already kind of talked about that. So I'll throw one more out there, and that is on DraftKings. They have matchups for basically teams to finish, who's going to finish further along in the tournament. And I'm taking Ukraine, which is basically normal minus 110 odds, over Russia. I think Russia, we already talked about that group with Belgium and Denmark. I don't see them coming out of that group. They could, of course, but I'm betting they don't. While Ukraine, I think, is likely to get out of their group in the Netherlands, and basically Austria as the other team there. So I think it's a simple play as just Ukraine make it out of the group, and Russia do not. So I like the matchup play there of Ukraine to beat Russia as far as progress in the tournament goes.
Awesome. Very good. Nick Borrman. You can find him and Kevin Dolan and myself at WagerTalk.com. And of course, at SportsMemo, it's Pavlos Laguretos who is coming on now to give us his future or prop bet or something of actionable info that we can make some money off of.
Yeah, one of my best props for this tournament is Belgium to finish at the top 4, plus 130 at DraftKings. I think there's a lot of value there. When I look at player prop bets, I was looking at which player is gonna receive the most cards for their team. So I'm going with Granit Xhaka, of course, for Switzerland. He's a guy who isn't shy of tackling guys in the neck. So plus 350 for Granit Xhaka to receive the most cards for Switzerland, and the same bet for Pepe for Portugal, plus 500. The guy is very prone to receiving cards. He always argues with the referees, so I think there's a lot of value on Pepe there. Also, Harry Kane, I'm just gonna throw this out there. He was the leading assister in the Premier League this season with 14 assists. Of course, he paired up with Son, and they were a great duo. And Son is gonna be there, of course, in the English national team. But maybe he can bring that form over to the Euros, and Harry Kane to give the most assists in the competition for England at plus 800. And one last prop that I'm just really gonna have to mention is, even though I know that they're gonna play just 3 matches in this tournament, North Macedonia to receive the most cards in the tournament, plus 3,300. I believe they're gonna get at least 5, 6, maybe 7 cards per match. They're not gonna make a deep run, but I think it's worth a couple of beer bucks on plus 3,300.
So there you go, Pavlos Laguretos with not only one prop, but about 5 or 6 of them. He started off with Portugal and Switzerland players to get cards. Those teams both have red jerseys, which is the color of the red card that I'm giving Pavlos on today's show. With that said, listen, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. We're going to be back on Tuesday, 10 a.m., where we will cover some of the opening games of the 2020 Euro Championship that finally this summer will take place across the continent in 12 different cities and with 24 of the best footballing nations. We thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys all next Tuesday.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.